Welcome to A Slice of SEL, a podcast for educators about social emotional learning.
Welcome to A Slice of SEL. We're the SEL services team at the St. Croix River Education District. I'm Nick.
I'm Rye.
And I'm Courtney.
So guys, I could not be more excited for this episode because I made a game and I get to quiz Rye and Courtney. And Rye told us before we started recording that she's very competitive, which you wouldn't know if you talked to Rye only a couple of times, but apparently you really want to win the game, Rye.
Yes.
Well, that's going to be really difficult to do because I didn't plan a way to keep score, so maybe our listeners will help you out and tell us later who won.
I think we'll keep score just fine ourselves.
Okay.
I mean, we don't need to keep score because I'm going to win.
No, we do. This is important.
I'm thinking of that Michael Jordan meme where he's like, and I took that personally. That's where Rye's at right now. We'll explain more about the game after we talk about what's filling our buckets. But before we do that, we just wanted to share that this is our last podcast episode of the 2021 school year. But it's probably not our last episode, period. We really have enjoyed doing this. And more importantly, we've heard from many folks in our member districts who found the podcast helpful this year. So we would like to continue next fall.
Yeah, we'll probably try to scale it back, though, next year, since it's hopefully going to be a more normal school year, and we'll need to probably slow down the pace of the episodes. But also, this is our last episode with Rye.
Yeah.
Oh, so sad.
That is so sad, you guys, but I promise I'm going to be an avid listener and be cheering you on, and you guys are going to do great things.
We're going to miss you, Rye. Rye shared a month or so ago on the podcast that she is moving on to an internship for her school counseling program, and she's going to rock it. But we are really, really going to miss her, not only in podcasting, but all the things.
Oh, thanks, Nick. Okay, enough of that mush. Let's dive into this game, Nick, that you came up with for us. But before we do that, let's talk about what's filling our bucket, because this is probably my favorite part of the episode every week. So you go first.
Well, what's filling my bucket is yesterday I was in one of our northern districts and a school social worker mentioned that the Calming Strategies toolbox on our SEL website, specifically the poster that has the 5 icons, like calm your thoughts, calm your body, change your space. He said that's been really helpful for some students he's been working with every day these days because it's spring, we're struggling to finish the year strong. But he said they really like to pick. So he's like, what do we want to do? And they pick calm your thoughts, calm your body, and it gives them some choice. And he says they really appreciate that. And it's just working well. So that just warmed my heart, filled my bucket.
Love that. I'll go next, Court.
Okay.
Tomorrow, I am having a girls' night with some friends. One of my close friends is, I would say, a semi-influencer on Instagram, and she got a free night in a hotel, and she wants to throw a girls' night. So we're going, and we're going to do it. Let's do it.
That'll be so fun.
Thanks
for you. I can go. So my mom and I booked a trip to Mexico, and we are leaving in less than a month now, and I'm just so excited to get a vacation and to go be in the hot, hot sun and the water and the ocean. I just cannot wait.
Definitely hot.
So hot.
Yeah, I'm super jealous. Christina and I have been watching 90 Day Fiancé, binge watching recently, Court, and there's a segment of someone who got stuck in Mexico during the COVID pandemic, but I won't explain all of that on the podcast, but trash TV is fun. So guys, let's get into this game. So we have talked this year about so many things that fall in our giant SEL bucket. Just one of those things is how we weave SEL into academic instruction throughout the school day. And we call this integrated instruction. You might call it embedded instruction. We did a whole 5-episode series on it. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, we would recommend that you jump back and give those episodes a listen. But a huge takeaway from those episodes was, wow, there is a lot of stuff that we're doing already. And the next step really, I think, is just to start making those connections to the 5 SEL standards areas so that we can be a little bit more intentional with how we're weaving this in and also align with our colleagues. Like, for example, we'd want 2 fifth grade students in 2 different science classrooms to get similar integrated SEL experiences, that kind of intentionality and that alignment. So guys, in that 5-part series, I'm sure you recall, we took each of the 5 SEL standards areas one by one, and we talked about a bunch of activities that support each standards area. For our game, we're going to flip that. So I'm going to read you guys one of the activities that we came up with and talked about in those episodes, and you're going to try and guess what standards area we said it supports the most.
Oh my god.
Oh gosh.
I'm nervous now.
This could either go really good or really bad.
Really bad.
I'd say you have a lot of background knowledge that's going to be helpful to you. But spoiler alert, but I know that a few of our districts are thinking of playing a version of this game with Kahoots during their PLCs or staff development days next year. So I'm really excited to give it a shot with our team first. And, with all of our listeners on the internet listening, no pressure whatsoever. It's like when you do one of those lesson plans that you're all excited about, like, this is going to go great. You have no idea what pitfalls are waiting for you. But so that our folks at home can play along, Courtney, could you please help our listeners out and remind us what the 5 SEL standards areas are? And maybe if you could just say like a little bit about what each one is.
Absolutely. So number 1, self-awareness is knowing yourself. So knowing your emotions and your values, your strengths, your weaknesses, just your traits. Number 2, self-management is kind of what we do about our self-awareness. So it's responding to our emotions, managing them, impulse control, ignoring distractions. So setting goals and being disciplined and staying organized. Number 3 is social awareness, and that's having empathy and taking other people's perspectives. So understanding and appreciating differences, knowing who you can reach out to for help in different situations. Number 4 is relationship skills. So that's choosing good friends and being a good friend or brother, sister, son, daughter, etc. Cooperation skills and communication skills. And the last one, number 5, is responsible decision making. So that's critical thinking, gathering information, weighing pros and cons, and making choices that align with the rules we have to follow or our values, etc.
Thank you, Court. Very helpful. Those 5 sound pretty straightforward, but as we know with the Minnesota SEL standards and the benchmarks, sometimes there's funny little wrinkles in there that just would fool you. So you guys might get fooled by some of those little wrinkles there in the benchmarks.
Oh my gosh.
It's just the little Minnesota spin on things. We're the bold north, and sometimes our benchmarks put those little wrinkles in there, Ryan Court cannot see the answers, guys. I pinky swear. So we're going to get started, guys, and I'm going to start with what is kind of a tricky one, I think.
Right.
So the activity is using literature or current events, discuss how emotions may point to the perspective of different people, like what's true for them, and talk about what's factual and objectively true versus what's different people's perspective. So considering that difference between like what is the perspective of the different people involved and what's actually factually objectively true in the literature text or the current events that you're talking about.
Ooh, this one is tricky.
There was a lot of parts to that.
Yeah.
There was.
I
You go first, Rye. Go ahead.
I heard some self-awareness. But I think I'm going to go with social awareness.
Okay. I also was leaning that way, but I'm going to go responsible decision making.
Oh, Rye takes this one. This is a social awareness.
Nice job, Rye.
It was the perspective part.
I know, and then I got down to that critical thinking, gathering information. It's all right. I'll take a loss. You're going.
Like I said,
there was a lot.
The benchmark, if you're curious, this was like a high school benchmark, 9 through 12, and it was differentiating between factual and emotional content of what a person says.
So that was a good one, Nick. Way to start it out. Tricky.
God,
And Rye's in the lead.
Rye is in the lead.
The game is promising so far. Promising. All right, ready for your next one?
We're ready. Uh-huh.
Okay, the activity. Create a group writing project or science project, including project-based learning activities, and then provide students with practice in balancing and prioritizing multiple goals that are associated with completion of their project.
I'm
You
going
can
to go
for this one.
self-management, number 2.
I'm also gonna go with self-management, number 2.
You both get a point.
Nice.
It was the goal setting when kids get a little bit older, like they balance multiple goals. Yeah.
Time management. Yep, I know that.
And that was a middle school benchmark. Nice work, guys. All right, for our next item, read a story that demonstrates an internal conflict within a character and ask students to identify cause and effect of that conflict within a character. So one example that Court came up with, if it helps you give a clue, is this is like a 4th through 5th activity, just to give you a little bit more hints. But we were thinking of like Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story. He thinks he's an action hero, not a toy. He keeps getting information, though, that proves that he's a toy. So there's that internal conflict that he has to deal with.
Can you read the original thing?
Yeah, so read a story that demonstrates an internal conflict within a character, and then students have to identify cause and effect of that conflict within the character.
I think I'm gonna go with self-awareness.
Agreed.
Oh God, I tricked you guys. So you thought I was just it's self-management.
Oh.
You thought I was just scrolling up and I would just keep going earlier in the standards, but I stayed in the same spot. I know, and it is a tricky one. Anyway, the benchmark is for 4th and 5th graders, and it's understanding causes and effects of their emotions, thoughts, impulses, stress, and distress. So that cause and effect
Still picking
piece.
up on that impulse.
I'll be completely honest. I got excited that I
Tricky.
tricked you, and I didn't even remember what you guys guessed. What was it?
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. I can see that too. And this is a good opportunity to emphasize that we're not picking on people here, and these activities can support more than one competency. We're just kind of trying to aim for, because of the sake of the game, the one that they support the most. Right. All right.
Court, what's the score?
The score is 2-1 with Rye in the lead. I feel like you knew that and you're just rubbing it in, but that's fine.
Wait, can you say that one more time?
No, I cannot. Sorry, you missed it. If you can't hear it the first time, you're out.
Ready for the next one. Have
We're
students
ready.
participate in a group project, and after the project, discuss how they worked in a group together. Discuss any ways they could have improved their team effort.
Relationship skills.
I am... Ooh. I think I'll go with number 4, relationship skills
Both
as well.
nailed it. It was relationship skills.
Yes.
So we talked about using like a simple T chart or something else to kind of reflect on like the pros and cons of working with a team and just brainstorming. Yeah, like what you could do to be a good team member, like being a better listener, being ready to compromise, stuff like that. All right, ready for our next item?
Ready.
Okay, so use story time to discuss how characters made decisions, how their decisions affected themselves and others.
Do you want to go first or should I?
I don't care.
I feel like you're trying to trick us on this one. Like, to me, responsible decision making is just so obvious. But I also feel like it's a little bit of social awareness too.
I can see where you're going with that.
Right?
I can definitely see where you're going with that, Rye. I don't have any input on what you said, but
I feel like this is a trick question. So I'm gonna go with social awareness, even though responsible decision making is just so obvious.
I'm going to go with the obvious one.
responsible decision making.
Correct.
You got the point, Court. It was responsible decision making.
Dang it!
Tie game. It's getting serious.
The example, because this was a K through 3 benchmark, and it was about
Three Little Pigs.
Three Little Pigs.
Obviously.
Yeah, that was your example in the episode originally. The benchmark was about understanding that decisions can have positive and negative effects on themselves and others. Sorry, Rye, you overthought it, but you did really have a point with the social awareness. And again,
For sure.
kind of like it's like the B standard that it's also supporting. Where like the A, Courtney stuck with the safe bet. She got the point.
And once again, my overthinking gets me.
All right, next one. Use examples from history to ask students to generate alternative solutions and or alternative choices that a historical figure could have made and how it might have affected events in a different way.
I remember this one when we talked about this one, and this was like a really good example. So for this one, I am going to go with responsible decision making.
Ditto.
Very confidently.
You guys both get the point. I was trying to trick you by staying in the same area, but no chance. Yeah.
Nope.
This one was a 4th through 5th grade example, and the really specific example that Court came up with was the Confederacy and the Union at Gettysburg. It was such a big battle that took place over multiple days, and you could analyze so many decisions that were made in that battle and say, like, hey, what if? Like, what if they had done this differently? And play it out.
Good try, Nick.
Thanks. I really, trying to make it tough.
But we're experts, so good luck.
All right, next one. Have students debate an academic issue, and during that process, practice summarizing another person's point of view.
Social awareness, number 3.
I like what you're saying, Court. I think it's that having empathy and
perspective taking,
listening to other people's perspectives. So not to be a copycat, but I am gonna go with social awareness.
I tried. I can't trick you. You both got it. The benchmark is really close to the activity. It's literally summarizing another person's point of view. And Court, I know, is a big fan of kind of debates and talking about current events and stuff. So, yeah, and this is a middle school example.
So fun. Tie game, 5-5.
What should we play to? Should we play to 10? Let's play to 10.
That seems fair.
Yeah, we can play to 10. All right, next one. During a group experiment or writing project, ask students to ask adults and peers for feedback. Then ask the students to work in small groups to review the feedback and decide what feedback is helpful or not helpful.
Oh, tricky.
This one's a little bit tricky then, because you remember what I said about the benchmarks and the wrinkles. This is a tough one.
This could be like a tiebreaker, Court.
This could be the whole game.
Oh no, pressure. Okay, I feel like I need to hear it again.
Okay.
The pressure is getting to me.
During a group experiment or writing project, ask students to gather feedback from adults or peers, and then ask them to work in small groups to review the feedback and decide what feedback is helpful or not helpful. There's different components to this that could point in different directions, and that's where, this is really supporting multiple standards. So this is very difficult.
Relationship skills.
I feel like I was leaning towards that one too, but like Nick said, there's just so many. So you're saying the feedback helping you, correct, Nick? Like the feedback that you're receiving.
Reviewing the feedback and deciding what's helpful or not helpful.
Oh my gosh. Again, I'm overthinking this. And I'm very nervous. Okay, I'm gonna go with self-awareness.
Okay, so Court's relationship skills, your self-awareness. Neither of you got it. This is it was self-management. This is a tricky one.
That is tricky.
Yeah, it was a middle school example for a middle school benchmark. The benchmark was demonstrate the ability to filter feedback from adults and peers.
Oh.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, like I said, there's little wrinkles there in the benchmarks, that things that are just in there that, you wouldn't think is like, wouldn't be the first thing that pops into your head when you hear self-management, but it's in there.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Yeah, you betcha.
That's a good one. That was a good one.
Well, it's going to make the game go longer then, because, nobody got a point there. All right, next one. Read biographical stories about historical figures or leaders who didn't give up. Talk about how their perseverance paid off for themselves and or for their communities.
I'm going to go with self-management.
Both got the point. Yeah, this was a Courtney activity. Her example was W.E.B. Du Bois, being covered in social studies class and thinking you could do like a think, pair, share or another discussion format, and just talk about like, why do you think he was able to do X, Y, and Z? Like pick any one of his accomplishments and reflect on all the perseverance that it took.
Cool. That was a good one.
All right, next one. Before a new unit, ask students to write a short essay about what they hope to get out of the time that they will spend in class on this topic.
What they hope to get out. So I'm going to go with self-awareness on this one.
I'm going to go with self-management again.
Oh, I got the point.
Yes!
Oh, this
lead.
was a tough one. And yeah, it is probably getting at both. It was a high school example. It was getting at the benchmark of realize the level of control that they have over their own lives and act accordingly. So it's borderline self-management. It's kind of towing the line to me because there's that act accordingly part. But yeah, it's about, nice job, Rye.
Way to go, Rye.
Well,
you got some ground to make up, Court. All right, next one. During ELA literacy instruction, have students think about how the author's use of language and tone conveys what characters are like, and how the character's language and tone impacts interactions with other characters.
To me, this screams social awareness. I think. Without overthinking it.
Can you repeat one more time, Nick?
Yeah. So during ELA literacy instruction, have students think about the author's use of language and tone and what that conveys about what the characters are like, and also what the character's language and tone, how that impacts interactions with other characters.
I can't think about it anymore because I have already made my decision, and now I'm thinking it might be something else. Not to throw you off. Or
no, you're good.
Courtney.
I'm gonna go with something else. I'm gonna go with self-awareness.
This is a tough one. It was relationship skills.
Huh.
See, that's the one I was leaning towards once I started thinking
close,
about it
right? I mean, they're so social awareness, relationship skills so close together. It was a 4 through 5 grade band example, and the benchmark was recognizing how facial expressions, body language, and tone impact interactions.
Skills.
It was that interactions part. Yeah.
Yep. That's good.
Tricky.
But yeah,
you're such a trickster.
I wasn't trying to trick you, but whenever you're reading a text, there's characters involved. These, you can just pause the discussion and ask these questions or write them on your worksheet, but it's gonna flow pretty naturally when you're doing character analysis.
We got 7 to 7.
All right, next one. Read current events and then discuss how a decision was made. Evaluate the quality of the decision against a clearly defined criteria. For example, did the people involved in the current event appear to follow a good decision-making strategy, laying out all their options, researching, weighing pros and cons, etc.
Responsible decision-making, I think.
Well, yeah, can it be anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I might have screwed up the game by elaborating on the example and giving you too many hints, because but you both got the point. It was responsible decision-making. This was another Court example. It was a high school example, and Court, as a high school teacher, you said you love teaching current events. The example you gave was reviewing the Brexit decision. That was made somewhat impulsively. Students might reflect on not a lot of information was in the hands of people about all the ramifications of that decision at the time. So it'd be something to reflect on. So what are we up to with the score?
8 to 8.
Oh, it's getting down to the wire. It's so tense. I didn't even respond to what I just said because she's just so in the zone.
She's in the zone. Yeah, she's ready for this.
I am so ready.
If I were to put money on it, I'd bet on Rye. She's going to pull away with the win.
She's like the Black Mamba. She's like Kobe Bryant. She's just laser focused. Okay. Create small groups designed to help students think about the steps needed to complete a multi-step assignment. So for example, doing research to gather information, outlining their report, drafting their report, proofing their report, etc.
I'm going to go with self-management on this one because of all of the goal setting and the need for staying organized and being disciplined.
Agreed.
That competence.
You guys both got it. I think you're getting wise to the whole group thing, because anytime we pair students up or group them up, it's going to be supporting relationship skills. Yup. And probably social awareness as well. But because of the a goal, an objective, multiple steps, definitely self-management.
Definitely some of those keywords really help hone in on which one.
So this is it. 9 to 9. I gotta pick.
Provided either one of us get it right.
This is true.
I gotta pick very carefully.
It's a game point. I'm hearing like the music playing in my head right now is just really dramatic. What's it gonna be? The rising action. We're at the climax.
All right, here it is.
Dun, 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 dun.
When discussing characters in literature or historical figures or leaders, ask students, and this could be in pair shares, small groups, or just individual responses like a worksheet or a journal, but ask students to reflect on how the character or historical figure's identity and their heritage may have shaped their views and how they interpret their emotions. Ask the students as well how this is different from their experience and how they might have reacted in the same situation.
Social awareness.
You're going with social awareness, Court?
I am.
That's not the one that was screaming out to me. So now, like, this makes it all the more dramatic. Because who's it going to be? So I'm going to go with self-awareness. And just really pray that I'm taking this
You got it right.
Woo! Nice job, Ryan!
I felt like kind of a jerk for picking this one because it's like right on the razor's edge to me. Yeah, between the
totally
two.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
or you're just like a really good producer.
It's amazing. Nice job. You made it
really
intense.
amped up the drama there. I think it's definitely supporting both of those standards areas. This is a high school example, and the benchmark it's getting at is understanding that identities and heritage, you heard those two words in there, identities and heritage practices shape the way that oneself views, understands, and interprets emotions. So it's still getting at that social awareness piece of differences and cultural differences, but it's more about that being a mirror to shine a light on your own identities and heritage. So really tough, but Court, you're right. I pulled it out.
I knew it. I had faith.
I mean, I am celebrating inside, but I am going to use my relationship skills right now and just say, good game, Courtney.
Thanks, Ryan. You as well.
And it was really a pleasure playing with such passionate, contestants.
Super fun.
All right, so we're going to wrap up and sign off for the last time this school year, team. But talking about standards in education can be intimidating. It can feel like a long to-do list. But with SEL, there's so much more that we're doing to support these standards than just explicit instruction with an SEL curriculum. It's so much bigger than that. So that explicit instruction with an SEL curriculum, sure, that's important, yes. And it may be new for some teachers and some schools. But our work with SEL is just as much or more about recognizing all that we're already doing to support social emotional learning. We hope you've had fun playing along with us today, and we hope that it helped you recognize a little bit of all that you're doing to support your students' SEL.
And here comes my final sign-off. So I'm passing the torch to you guys for next year. So thanks for spending time with us today. Make sure to subscribe, and if you're on YouTube, click the bell so that you're notified when new episodes are released each week. We'll see you when you come back for another Slice of SEL.
Thanks, guys. Have a great summer. Bye.